All right, let's talk about something we all want, but most of us can't really define: mental toughness. We're going to go way past the usual just be strong advice. Today, we're deconstructing it, turning it into a measurable system you can actually improve, all based on Alex Hormozi's framework. So let's get right into it. Hormozi just comes right out of the gate with this. I mean, wow. It's so direct because it's so true, right? It's not just that bad things happen. It's about how long it takes us to get back up, how far we fall, and, this is the scary part, whether we actually come out weaker on the other side. He's laying out a huge problem here, and thankfully, he's also got the solution. So, let's build this new model. We have to stop thinking of mental toughness as some magical thing you're either born with or you're not. Instead, we're going to look at it like a skill, one with specific parts that we can actually measure and, more importantly, that we can train. Okay, this definition right here is a total game changer. Notice what it's not saying. It's not about how bad you feel, it's about how you act. It's about whether your behavior gets knocked off course from your goals. Suddenly, it's not this vague feeling, it's a number. It's not, do I have it? It's, what's my percentage? And this cycle, this is something every single one of us goes through probably multiple times a day. You're just cruising along at your normal baseline, right? Then, wham, a bad thing happens. Your behavior drops. The real questions are, how deep is that drop? How long do you stay down there? And when you finally level out, is your new normal better or worse than where you started? This simple chart is the key to everything. So how do we measure that response? How do we put numbers to it? Well, we can break that whole cycle down into 4 distinct measurable parts: tolerance, fortitude, resilience, and adaptability. Once you understand these 4, you can pinpoint exactly where you're strong and, where you might need a little bit of work. First up, tolerance. This is your personal breaking point. How much stress, how much annoyance, how much hardship can you take before your behavior actually starts to change? It's not about feeling no stress, it's about how much you can absorb before you crack. And the best way to think about this is the fuse analogy. It's perfect. Someone with high tolerance, they've got a super long fuse. It takes something huge to get a reaction out of them. But someone with low tolerance has a short fuse. You know the type. The Wi-Fi drops for 2 seconds, and their entire day is ruined, their behavior is shot. So what happens after that fuse blows? That brings us to component number 2, fortitude. This isn't about how much you could take. This is about how badly you react once you finally snap. It's literally the measure of how deep that drop in behavior is on the chart we just saw. And this is where the stakes get ridiculously high. Someone with high fortitude gets bad news, and the reaction is a deep breath, a 5-minute walk. It's controlled. But low fortitude, that same piece of bad news can trigger a massive, life-destroying overreaction. We're talking about the difference between a minor course correction and a total life implosion. That gap, that is fortitude. All right, component number 3 is resilience. So you've had your reaction, big or small. The question now is, how long does it take you to get back to being you? This isn't about how bad the reaction was, it's purely about the duration. We're measuring this in minutes, days, months, or sometimes even years. Now, it's really easy to get this mixed up with fortitude, but they're totally different. You could have someone with low fortitude, they have a huge reaction, but if they have high resilience, they bounce back super fast. The damage is contained. It's the person with low resilience who stays stuck in that funk, letting a bad meeting on Monday ruin their entire week or even their whole month. And that brings us to the final and maybe most important piece of the puzzle: adaptability. This is the ultimate outcome. After the dust has settled and you've found your new normal, is that new baseline higher or lower than where you started? Did the whole ordeal make you stronger, or did it leave you permanently weaker? Hormozi's phrasing on this is just brilliant. With high adaptability, you let the hardship beat the strength into you. You learn from it, you grow, you set a higher standard for yourself. But with low adaptability, it beats the strength out of you, and you're left a little bit worse off than you were before. This is that fork in the road where trauma either builds you or breaks you. Okay, so now that we have all 4 components, let's put it all together and look at 2 polar opposites. Hormozi calls them the rock and the mental weenie. This is going to make the whole framework just click. I mean, just look at this side by side. It makes it so clear. The rock has massive tolerance, an almost unnoticeable reaction, bounces back instantly, and somehow uses every setback to get even stronger. And then you've got the mental weenie. Tiny tolerance, huge overreactions, stays down forever, and actually gets weaker from the experience. Now, most of us are somewhere in the middle.
but this table shows us exactly what we're aiming for.
Okay, we've defined it, we've deconstructed it, we've seen the two extremes. Now for the most important part. How do we actually build this skill? How do we become more of a rock and less of a weenie? Let's get into the action plan.
And this right here, this is the single most important idea in this entire framework. You have to believe this. Mental toughness is not a fixed part of your DNA. It is not something you're just born with. It is a skill. And just like any other skill, with practice, you can get better at it.
So that's the real question, isn't it? If we know what our weak spots are, maybe it's a short fuse or we stay down for too long, how can we specifically train those components? What does the workout plan actually look like?
Well, here it is. This is your training regimen. To build tolerance, you literally practice acting normally even when you're upset. You refuse to give events power over your behavior. For Fortitude, the moment you catch yourself overreacting, you recognize it and choose a smaller reaction instead. For Resilience, the second you hit bottom, you fight like crazy to get back to your baseline, no lingering. And for Adaptability, you consciously reframe the whole thing by asking one simple question: how can this bad thing serve me? So let's zoom out one last time and think about why this all matters so much. Because this isn't just about being more productive or getting through a tough week. This is about the kind of person you are.
This quote is just so profound. The goal is never to stop feeling angry or sad or frustrated. That's impossible. The goal is to create a space between what you feel and what you do. You can feel absolutely awful, but you don't have to act awful. That separation, that choice, that's the literal definition of maturity.
And we'll leave you with this question. At the end of it all, when people talk about you, what's the story they're going to tell? Are they going to list your job titles and the things you owned? Or are they going to talk about how you handled the hard times, how you treated people when things went wrong, and the strength of your character? Because how you respond when things get tough, that doesn't just define your success, it defines your legacy. What's yours going to be?